One. Welcome to the Empower and Grow Her online TV series. My name is Elisa J. Green, and I'm super excited because today is what? Today is Tuesday, and I get a chance, like I always say, to be with you here today. So before I get started with running off at my mouth, I just want to make an announcement. First announcement that I want to make is this is one of two shows for the month. After this interview, I have one more interview, one more guest, and after that, I'll be shutting down and coming back in January. So for right now, we can see your comments. Please share. My name is Elisa J. Green, and you are here with us. Me and my special guest. We have a very, very, very good topic today that we're going to touch on. And before I get started with my topic, though, I want to introduce her. We had the opportunity to have a nice virtual tea chat. We played a little phone tag, a little email tag. I'm super excited to have her here after those bumps and bruises. And I was saying to her earlier, I hope she wasn't mad at me, but of course, never be mad at me. Why be mad at me?
No.
My guest here today is Miss Candace Creer. Candace, how are you, Candace?
Good. Hello, everybody watching.
Hello. All right, so I'm going to read your bio, Candace. And I always say this, I hate bios, but this one I really love. And I love this one because this one shares a deep, deep part of you. And I'm just going to read it. I get a little goofy sometimes, so. Okay, while many choose to wallow in self-pity when life doesn't deal them a full deck of cards, Candace Creer chose to convert her pain into a greater purpose. This international best-selling author of Invisible Dad and Invisible God I'm Waiting is committed to leading people worldwide from the road of adversity to the highway of wholeness. As a life coach for fatherless women, she understands that by giving people the tangible tools they need to move forward, she can also challenge them to confront their true story of power and strength. Despite anger and rejection, in addition to being the visionary of Bridge technique, which helps others turn their pain into purpose, she works diligently to pour back into the community. Candace is the CEO and mogul of Charismatic Creations, LLC, which includes Charismatic Publishing. Give it up for Candace. Hi, Candace. Hi, Candace.
Hey.
Candace. Woo. Okay, so Candace, let me just get this out. Like we were talking before. So when I put the call out to fill my calendar up for 2018, because I want to be proactive in everything that I do in business, in life and business. So when I put the call out, Candace was one of over 100 women that said, hey, yes, I would love to be interviewed on this platform. So I thank you, Candace, for saying yes. Let me just say that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And when me and Candace had our talk, how long did we talk, Candace? Do you remember?
It was probably about almost an hour.
Yeah, it was almost an hour, I think. Yeah. So we just touched on the surface, that conversation
Right.
was very in-depth conversation. Okay, so we talked about a few things, and I originally wanted to interview you in 2018, but when you told me the topic, I was just like, OMG, I got to interview you this year. And I was supposed to interview you in November, but I had a couple of bumps again. And so I'm glad to end the year off like this with this topic, because this is a topic that a lot of us talk about. And this is a topic that a lot of us don't talk about.
Yep.
So you had a statistic, and I wanted to ask you to share with us I can't get my word out. The statistic first, and then I'll share with the audience what the name of your book is.
Sure. So specifically for fatherlessness, almost 50% of children grow up without a father, which is astronomical, right? 50%, almost 50% in the United States alone. And this is not just a US, epidemic. This is a worldwide epidemic. And the question is, what are we going to do about it? And also, why are fathers important? Because they are to society, and we see that with statistics, which I saw that you put them up. I mean, we're talking about the statistics of having, some type of mental disorder, or being in jail, or dropping out of high school. I mean, those shoot up to past 80% for fatherless children.
Yes.
Shoot through the roof.
Yes.
So we know that fathers are required. They are not an option. We need them in our lives. But the thing about it is, what do we do if we don't have one? So that's the question here. What do we do if we don't have a father? Yeah. First of all, we need to make sure that we say that it is a problem and recognize that it's a problem. A lot of us just shoot hoops, keep on pushing, right? Like there's nothing that is bothering us. Like, we grew up just fine. We'll raise this flag, we're independent women. We can help. We go through that whole rigmarole, right? Mm-hmm. And it does nothing but tear us further and further down. I mean, honestly, when we recognize that we need help, that's number one, that there is a problem, when we recognize that, then we can take the steps to heal.
That's true. That's true. And so the name of your first book is Invisible Dad, How to Heal as a Fatherless Daughter. I love that title. Can you share with us how you came up with that title?
Yeah, actually, Invisible Dad was a title that actually was suggested to me. And when it was said, I was like, that's it. It's, that's it. That's what I wanted. I wanted a dad, but he was invisible. Mm. And so that's how Invisible Dad got its name, from that specific conversation that I was having with another author, actually.
So okay, so I want to know what this book is about. I did have the opportunity to read just a little bit of it. But the one thing that really stuck out to me is when you shared that you were going through your life, and I'm paraphrasing, but you were going through life, and, the picture was really pretty. On the outside, it was all good. You were happy. Mm-hmm. You were facing this perfectionist, or, trying to be perfect. And it was a lot of pain behind that. So I want, right. How did you get through that pain? How did you go through that little part right there, knowing that you were in pain on the inside, but displaying something different on the outside?
So perfection is a silent killer.
Right.
It is a silent killer. It is killing us left and right. We are trying so hard to be perfect, to put on that facade, to make sure that everybody thinks it's okay. I mean, I used to sit in church pews and just dying inside, hoping that somebody would say something to me. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is that nobody did. So I'm going to church wanting to be healed, but nobody is there to help me relate to God, for one, because I don't have a father. Mm-hmm. So for you to tell me that, God is a great father, it's a disconnect, because I don't have a physical form of a father. So I can't, God is, because I can't relate. Like there's no connection there. I don't know how he is. What do you mean he's good? I mean, I can't see anything. And so that whole the conversation of really with myself in that battle, because I knew going to church was right. I knew Jesus saved. I believe in Jesus, but you keep telling me how good that father is, and I can't make that connection. Right. And so that was a tough thing for me. And this epidemic is not talked about in church. So you not only do you have a strong epidemic, it's just the fact that I'm going to church every day. Nobody talks about me being a fatherless daughter. Nobody says anything about it. And so just doing that wrestling and tussling with my life and putting on that perfection as if it was a mask that I put on every day until I had a breakdown. One thing about putting on that mask is that you will break down. It's just a matter of time. Until you get in touch with yourself, you will break down. I started drinking alcohol. And when that alcohol started getting to my system, I wanted to drown the pain away. Right. And so that's what I was taking, keep drinking, keep drowning, because that perfection mask was eating me alive until I had my encounter with God. And that's when things changed.
Yeah, I can imagine what that's like. And, you know, with the statistics and the research that was done, isn't the drinking alcohol a part of the statistic of being a fatherless daughter? I mean, it's a statistic, period, you know, but that is another statistic. So I want to go back for a half of a second. So can you share some of the other statistics that fatherless daughters face? Well, I could say fatherless. I want to say fatherless children, but I want to let's just keep it to fatherless because that's our topic today.
Yeah, I mean it's when they do statistics, it's typically it does but it's mental disorders, it's going to jail, it's dropping out of high school, it's the whole divorce rate, everything that has to do with a relationship. Even from an authority standpoint, we have definitely poor relationships. If you have not healed, then you definitely have a poor relationship. I can guarantee it. And if you are married and still haven't healed, then you're probably with another broken person. I can probably guarantee that too. So we as fatherless children, we have a responsibility for ourselves to heal ourselves. And what the steps of that is. Within Invisible Dad, it doesn't just talk about my story, although it does. It gives my whole story. It talks about what are the steps you need, what the steps are to heal. Right. Because there's 3 different phases of healing that you actually need to go through to get to the healing side. And that's what's important. It's like you're going over a bridge to get to the healing side, but you have to take that journey to get over there.
Can you share some of the phases? But before you do, let me just give these shout outs, because I see a few people in here. Madeline Perez. Hi, Madeline. She says, wow. Aaron Johnson.
Hi, Madeline.
Clapped it up for Aaron. I see my soul sister Taj Williams in here. I think I see another soul sister, Teresa. I think she's in here too. So there are people in here, and while you're in here, ladies, please just know we can see your comments. That's one, and please share this broadcast. That's 2. And the reason why I'm asking to share it is because we want to bring more awareness to this topic. We just want to just bring more awareness to it, and we want to talk about it. We want to talk about it. So we'll, you know, if you have questions, please feel free to put your questions in here, and we'll get to that, because this is a topic that needs to be discussed, you know, and it is about healing. And I always say, and I said it before, that there are a couple of movements going on. One is a sisterhood movement, one is a healing movement, and one is a self-care movement. And they all are correlated together, because we can't be sisters and be in pain and be empowered and all those things if we're not caring for ourselves. And so that's just what it is. Okay, now let me go back. So can you share the 3 phases that you were speaking of?
Yeah, so the 3 phases are redemption, which is understanding who Jesus Christ is for yourself. And this is important. Let me tell you why this is important, because this is the key that people leave off so much. Hi, Brenda. This is the key that people leave off. And understanding Jesus Christ for yourself has many implications. First, understanding what that grace is about so that you can apply that grace to your Father. whether he's done something to you or not, whether you like what he's done, he does something in the future. Grace is important.
Mm-hmm.
Redemption also gives you a reason to forgive, which is the next phase.
Mm-hmm.
People say, why should I forgive? I've never done anything that bad, right? I've never done anything that bad. Why should I forgive him? Well, here's the thing. Jesus forgave you. So because of that, that's why you forgive.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's the whole comparison of, my sins weren't that bad. What Jesus Christ comes in and says everybody's on the same playing field. Everybody, doesn't matter who you are, everybody is on the same playing field.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, that's why you forgive. Not because they've done everything right, not because you need to forget everything that they have done. God is not saying, erase everything and saying, act like it's never happened. That's not what he's saying. He's saying from this day forward, you let me be the judge and you can. So redemption is first,
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness is second stage.
Okay.
And here's the thing about forgiveness. I would say probably almost 90% fail at this stage. Why? Is because they always want a reason to forgive. They always want a reason to forgive. I can't, I have to remember it all the time. They feel like they can't let it go. They don't just, the other person doesn't deserve forgiveness. There's all these excuses that come up of why they can't move forward with forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here to say, if you don't, this will be the monkey on your back for the rest of your life.
That is the honest to God truth.
It will be the monkey on your back for the rest of your life, for sure.
I also believe that forgiveness is really not about the person. It's really about us. It's really about us being able to, forgive ourselves in whatever the situation is and then to move forward. It's not about a forgive and forget thing. It's about us being tentative to what it is that we're feeling and forgiving ourselves for that feeling and to just keep moving forward. I really believe that. And what's the third one?
So the last one is restoration.
Mm-hmm.
One thing about being a fatherless daughter and healing, you really feel like you've been broken all the way down, right? You really feel like what you've known, now God is saying, you don't know what you think you know anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm breaking you all the way back down and I'm building you back up. Mm-hmm. And so that's where restoration comes into play. Mm-hmm. God is restoring us, and he's restoring us back to the way that we should have been before we were born. God says that, I knew you. I formed you in your mother's womb before you were born. Mm-hmm. So before the stigma came, before the labels came, before you were disappointed, before you were abandoned, I knew who you were. And so God is going to restore you, but you have to rest to be restored. And so those are the three phases. And those phases, which there's various different steps, and those are all in my book. So I explain everything in Invisible Dad of why these phases are very important and how you get to the other side. Once you go through redemption, forgiveness, and restoration, then you can come out on the winning side. But it's very, very important that you don't skip any of these. If you go through redemption and skip to restoration, it's impossible. Because you forget about forgiveness, and there's no way that you can go through a life not forgiving. I mean, you're just carrying baggage. Why don't you just drop that baggage off? Like God says, just drop it off where you're at and keep on walking and never pick it back up again.
Mm-hmm. Brenda Cisco says, redemption, forgiveness, and restoration. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, Brenda, yes. Okay, so yes. I wanted to ask you, I know you work with fatherless daughters, and I'm skipping ahead, and I'm so mad at myself for doing this, but this is just so interesting to me because when we spoke, we spoke about fatherless daughters, of course, but we also spoke about being a daughter and physically having a father, but the father not emotionally being there, like you would expect.
Right.
So my question to you is, what inspired you to write a book like this, and what was your experience like with? Because your father was in your life for a minute, and then
Right.
when he was gone. So what was that experience like when you realized that he was gone?
Yeah. So writing Invisible Dad, the sole purpose of me writing Invisible Dad, and people find this hard to believe, but the sole purpose of me writing Invisible Dad is because God told me to write the book. Honestly, I was out there and he not told me to do so. And so but I didn't know when I was writing it that it would be the conclusion of my healing journey.
Mm-hmm.
What Invisible Dad for me did was close the chapter.
Okay.
And so it was the conclusion for me of the healing journey, but it was the roadmap for others. So basically, when I put my story out there and I put those three important phases on there, that was the roadmap for other people to go through, other women to go through.
Okay.
But from my perspective, my dad left at 2 years old, and he came back about 20 years later when I was 21 years old.
Okay.
And so what I knew for those 20 years and what I know now, I know both sides of the coin. I know what it's like to have a father come back after all these years, but I also know what it's like not to have a father growing up. And so I can give both perspectives. I can tell you what not to do or how to heal, and I can tell you what not to pursue when it comes to a new relationship, or how to have those conversations and what not anything, so quickly to really evolve into like a relationship where everything can pick up where it left off. I can tell you those things.
Right.
So I have both perspectives. But from a fatherlessness perspective, it is not just for people who live without a father.
Right.
If your father is in the household and he is not a father to you, then you are a fatherless child.
Yes.
So fatherlessness, I mean, it's time for us to really break down the definition, because it doesn't mean that your father is not there. It just means that they are neither physically not there or emotionally not there. And both of those things are still valid for a fatherless child.
I'm so glad that you broke the definition down because, I also believe that when you speak about relationships, just as a young lady and moving into an adult, or even as a young lady and you start to have these different feelings and, you like the boys and, and if that father figure is not there to help guide you, that your behavior is going to be the blueprint to every relationship with moving forward in your life. So I really believe that the father is the main vein. His teachings and his love and his nurturing is the main vein to how we make choices, how we choose in our lives and in our relationships.
Right.
I'm glad that you broke down fatherless, because it's not really about not having a father, because again, like you said, and like I said, you can have a father and that father not be there for you emotionally, and all and
Spiritually.
physically,
Yeah.
but not emotionally. And that's the most important.
Exactly.
Little girls need their daddies really, really bad. Little girls need, yes. So
Yeah, and I just want to make sure that we convey the message, which I didn't early on, but fathers are important. And what I do is I do not bash fathers, because
right.
we need them. We need them in society. We need them as our covering. We need them as the head of a household. And what this is, though, is that there's a gap, and what God has called me to do is that there's organizations right now that are helping children reunite with their dads for mentorships and those types of things. And then there's also father programs that are helping fathers be efficient fathers and effective fathers. But what I have seen is that there is a gap for the women. For the women, and here's the thing, the women are having the children.
Right.
So if the women are broken, then they are really generationally contaminating their children.
Yeah,
and what I am here to do is say, we're stepping in and saying, no, we're not contamination. It's time for the healing phase of your life so that your children can grow up correctly, be the fathers that they need to be, the wives that they need to be, and have the correct relationships so that this doesn't affect them either.
And this is why everyone should be aware of fatherlessness, right?
Exactly.
Be aware. That just answered the question that I wanted to ask you. So, why? Okay, well, when you did your research, because I got to get back to this research. How did you feel once you started to do the research and found out that you were onto something? You know, as you know, okay, so you recognize something. You figured out you were onto something through the research. What was your reaction to that when you figured out that you were onto something?
Honestly, it was shocking because I didn't expect the statistics that I saw. So first it's like a shock. And then it's like, okay, you could have been in any one of those boats.
Right.
I mean, this is you. They're talking about you. You know what I mean? And so you realize, like, man, I missed some things that I very much probably should have been a part of, and it's only by God's grace, only. But also because of Invisible Dad, God led me to my purpose.
Right.
And that's when I came into coaching fatherless women, because now I'm like, okay, now I get it. Now I know what you want me to do. It was the closing of a chapter of my life, Invisible Dad was, but it was the start of a new chapter. And that included coaching these fatherless women.
How did you recognize that women needed to be coached in that space, in that area?
So fatherlessness is interesting, right? Because we don't talk about it. It's like the society's new normal, right? It's like normal. Like people don't talk about that it's a deficiency or it's a gap or it's something that we need to mend. It's like, okay, keep hustling, keep going, I'm fatherless, you're fatherless too. Keep on, tooting your home, keep on going, right? It's nothing that people see as a problem.
Right.
And once I figured that out, and I was really one too, that I was like, I didn't see it as a problem. I just saw that there was an issue, but I didn't know how to really talk about it, and nobody else talked about it. So I thought, everything was all great and normal. But once I realized that people are not talking about something, and realize that people don't even think they're fatherless, that they have to think about it. That's another thing. People had to think about it, and they really are fatherless. It's like your father's not there. That means you're fatherless. So people had to think about it. That's when I knew I needed to sound the alarm, that it was like time to start raising that red flag and say, look, you don't have to deal with this, and it's affecting your life, believe it or not. And so that's when I started to say, okay, I'm on to something. Like there's something here. And and another thing is I saw that there was a lack of fatherless women coaches.
Yes.
So that was another thing also.
You shared that with me. I know you remember. I was like, oh my God, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. So so it's 7:27. So let me just check in here with the comments here. So Nicole Mosley wants to know, is the book at Barnes and Noble?
So you can purchase that at barnesandnoble.com if you would like, or my website, which is www.candicecareer.com. It's also on there. If you would like to purchase it from me directly, I can sign it for you.
Okay, perfect. And Madeline says, this touched a nerve. So ladies, to put in your questions, because we're coming up on the on half an hour. This touched a nerve in a good way. Thank you, Madeline. Brenda Cisco says, redemption, forgiveness, and restoration. Yes, yes, yes. Brenda says hello. Madeline says, wow, Aaron. And there are a few more people commenting. And so I want to make sure that everyone, please share this video. Please talk about it. Hashtag fatherless, hashtag empowerment, hashtag healing, hashtag self-care, hashtag it's time, hashtag it all, because we want to really, really, really blow this up to the point where, there's an even higher level of awareness around this topic, being fatherless. And again, like Candace said, fatherlessness is not just about not having a father. You can have a father and you can still be fatherless. And also, Candace is a coach for
Yes.
fatherless women, which I want to commend you for that. My next question is, how did you find the courage to get through dealing with the pain? Um, no, that wasn't my question. How did you? Yeah, that was my question. Even though I did ask you, I wanted to find out, how did you find the courage to get through each chapter in the book, because I found the chapters very interesting. So I want to know, how did you find the courage to write through those chapters? I know one was about trials and tribulations.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know, how did you find the
Yeah.
courage to get through it?
So I cried through the whole book. I mean,
Wow.
I really busted out in tears because it was my life story. You know, it was going back. It was going back 30 years and starting from the beginning. And so I actually ended up writing chapter 1 last
Oh, wow.
because I didn't know how to start the book.
Right. I
And
know
I
what
knew where I ended. I knew where I ended. I knew that it was gonna be great in the end. So because I knew where I ended, I actually started at the end first.
yeah.
But it was hard putting your life on paper for people to see inside of it, especially everything that I put in that book.
Mhm.
However, at the end of the day, it was worth it. I've gotten so much drastic feedback. And really, I wrote that book for, and my ideal reader was supposed to be a young girl. She was 18, getting ready to go to college, and she didn't know exactly who she was. She was missing a part of her.
Mhm.
So and it wasn't a specific girl, but that was just too. And I ended up meeting that girl on the way. I
Wow.
ended up meeting her at a speaking engagement, which was amazing to me because she was like, "Wow, I can't believe you. This is my story. You put it on paper."
Mhm.
And I'm like, "Yeah, because I wrote this book for you, not knowing who you were. But the
Mhm.
fact of the matter is, I knew you were out there." And
Right.
so things like that, and it's been read from men to women, younger girls. It's
Yes.
been read by a range of different people, and it's really been effective. And that's all I can say. And that's only because of God. That's nothing that has to do with me. I just was obedient, put it on paper, and I let him take it to where it needed to be.
Right. How many chapters are in the book?
There are 9 chapters in the book. If you get the printed version, there's also a journal in the
Yes.
back of the book.
Yeah, I can't wait to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to get my book. Yeah, I did see that it's a journal. So, what prompted you to? It. And by the way, I think that's very important. I think every book should have a journal. But what prompted you to um, put the journal in the book? For us to reflect on, or for us to have our own self discoveries. What prompted you to do that?
Yeah, so it's a 21-day journal, and really it leads you to answer questions about yourself, and every day for 21 days. And each day has a different theme, and it takes you back through the book, but also asks you questions related to your story as a self-reflection and what you're feeling that day.
Okay.
So it's really, I call it a start your journey journal,
Mhm.
meaning that starts your healing journey.
Right.
And it's really a 21-day kickoff, but healing is everlasting. I mean,
Mhm.
healing is something that you have to deal with daily. You have to make important decisions that are intentional about your healing every single day, because you will get approached by situation after situation, and you have to choose to be better. Being better is not something that's chosen. You have to want it. And
Yeah.
so in that journal, it leads up to that, and it says, you know what? I'm giving you those 21 days, and you can start it off yourself. If you want to start it off without my help, there it is right there for you, because I want you to have something better and to be better at life, and really just to get rid of all that baggage for real.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much for answering that question. So what's next? Are you touring, or what else have you done with this wealth of information, and how are you impacting lives in the community and things like that?
So lots and lots are going on, which I'm so super excited about. So I do speaking engagements at various different places to really bring awareness to fatherlessness, and including different interviews that I also have on radio stations. So I'm very, very excited about that. This is an epidemic that we really need to bring to the forefront. It's very, very important to do that, but not only do that, take the steps to make it happen as far as healing
Right.
goes. If you see someone that's out there that's fatherless and their acting or their attitude is different, which you will show if they haven't healed. If you see someone out there doing that, see to them, especially if you're personal with them, if you know them closely, offer them some help. Offer them to go on my website. Offer them, Invisible Dad book. I mean, even if it's the Kindle copy, whatever the case may be, that they can get tools to help them to move forward in life, because it's very, very important that they don't stay stuck.
Yeah.
Also, I released my second book in June called Invisible God, I'm Waiting, which is really about the waiting process. If you're waiting on God to move, I'll give you 21 powerful ways that you can conquer. You're waiting for God to move. A lot of us are. We're just sitting there waiting in the wind. But God is saying, I need you to do something. Mm-hmm. And so you will find out what he needs you to do when you figure out what that step is for you to learn. It's always something to learn in the waiting process, always. And until you learn it, whatever it is, until you learn it, you will not be able to move on.
That is true.
I also have some other 2018 projects in the works, but I'm so excited. I'm very, very excited because I know God is doing something new. He's doing something new, and that is for a lot of people on this earth. He's doing something new. So be ready for that something new, whatever that is for you.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Candace. Thank you so much. So let me get to these. So if you have any questions, we're here with Candace Career. Candace, am I pronouncing your last name right?
Yeah, Career. Yep.
I am. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Candace. We're here with Candace. We're live. Thank you for tuning in. The topic is fatherlessness. Fatherless daughters. We're talking about fatherlessness. Candace Career is an author, empowerment speaker, and a life coach, and she coaches women through fatherlessness. And Candace is the author of 2 books, soon to be 3, and it's coming down the pipe. So, Candace, what can you offer someone who does not recognize that their behavior is a result of fatherlessness?
Okay, so you're talking about the person that's in denial.
Yes, her.
The person that's in denial. Yeah, we need some reality. Some reality. I think it's really a worry, but oftentimes it also is about people, what's going on with their life, especially people that are closest to you. Yes. That something is wrong and you need to figure it out. Those types of conversations. Because what happens often is that denial thing is the new normal, equates to the new normal, right? That you think it's normal, you're just pushing along in life, you're struggling, trying to make it. And it's not financial struggling, you're emotionally struggling, trying to make it through life. And that denial phase is an important phase, because until you put down your pride and humble yourself and say, you know what, this has got to change. Mm-hmm. I've hit this dead end. I'm no longer going to do this. Mm-hmm. When you choose to get out of that, that's how you get out of it. Right. The denial stage is the hardest, I would say, one of the hardest stages, because they don't realize that there's something wrong. Wow. Point it and say, this is not working.
So what does it take for us to recognize, though, that we're in denial? What does it physically take, in your opinion? Because
in my opinion, if you're super strong and you're super independent, it will take you hitting rock bottom in order for you to stop denying that there's something wrong.
Okay. All right.
But here's the thing. We don't want that, right?
No.
We don't want that whatsoever. So if you are a close friend to somebody that's fatherless and you see that there's something wrong with them, their attitude, how they deal with relationships, they're in a new relationship every other week with some different guy and they think they're going to marry them every week. I mean, come on. You know, you see that either they're getting abused or getting taken advantage of. These are all different things of fatherlessness. The fact that they weren't either was not raised correctly or there was no father in the home at all.
Mm-hmm.
Those are different attributes of fatherlessness. And what we need to say is to take a step back and have a close conversation with, say, this is not working.
Right.
It's not working. And your 2 cents as a friend. Because only really true friends will know that.
That is true. That is true.
Because of the perfection mask we're talking about, right? Perfection is important for a lot of times because we don't want to show people what's real, what's true, and what's evident in our lives. So we kind of try to put on that mask to really not be seen.
That's true. That's true. I'm gonna go back over here to the comments. Matt. Okay, wait. Let me go back. Okay, so we have Karen Greer here. Oh, you know what? Put in the comments where you're from. I'd love to know where you're from because Candace can connect with you if you want to get in touch with her for any
for sure
services, for anything. So put in the chat where you're from. Let's see. We got Nicole. She asked about. Okay, we got Melissa Coonigan Owens. She said watching and shared. Thank you, Melissa, for sharing. Karen's thanks, Madeline, for sharing. Such a helpful tool. Thank you, Karen, for tuning in. And Madeline says, you're welcome. This is so empowering, Karen Greer. It is very, very empowering. And that is the reason why this platform, it was created to help empower and grow women all over the world, to introduce a community of women to another community of women like Candace, that are out here that are bringing awareness to topics like fatherlessness, and all the other guests that have been on the show. And if you have any questions, please put them in the comment. Candace, share with us how we can find you.
Sure. You can find me on Instagram at Candace Career. I'm also on Facebook at Candace Career. And then on my website at www.candacecareer.com.
Okay.
And all of my books are on my website also. So you'll find all information there.
Wait, let me put in your website again. What's the website again?
It's www.candacecareer.com.
All right, here we go. I put it in here. So log on to Candace's website, purchase her book, get in touch with her, and connect. That's the most important thing, connect. So Candace, I want to ask you this question. Ready? Are you ready, Candace?
Sure. Yeah.
So, and this is how I normally end my show, but I'm not going to end it, but I just want to ask you this question. 1 million fatherless women are on this earth and they need a lifeline. They need to hear something that's going to pull them out of the space that they're in, that they don't want to be in.
Mm-hmm.
What's that one word?
The one word that can pull you out of the space that you don't want to be in, that one word is Jesus Christ.
Okay.
If you want one word that can pull you out of that space to get you to the healing side, that's it.
Okay. Now, I want you to give me, well, not give me, but give some more advice to women that are going through fatherlessness, that need to be uplifted and pulled up out of, the dark space.
Yeah, I mean, we are all looking for an answer, right?
Right.
But the thing about it is that we are in charge of ourselves, responsibility ourselves. So it's up to us what we're going to do, what's going to be our next step, how are we going to make it happen, right? And so it's very, very important that that these women, they to take responsibility and not be a victim, that you are a victor, not a victim. And so don't look for anybody else to pull you up out of the ditch, right? It's time for you to take responsibility and push through and get yourself out of there one step at a time. Right. And you can do it. It's up to you, but you can do it. And one thing about it is that it is difficult going through the healing process. But if you're committed to the process, you can get to the end, and everything is better on the other side. Yes, so that's important, that you have what you need to make sure that you keep going. And that's what the important piece is. Keep going. Do not disappoint yourself. Do not bail out on yourself. Do not fall back. You are important. And because of that, keep going forward and taking the necessary steps for your healing. Be committed to your healing and your breakthrough.
Yes, yes, yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so we're coming up on, we're almost done. Okay, so unfortunately, my youngest daughter, this is from Madeline. Unfortunately, my youngest daughter is going through many of the different chapters of being fatherless. What advice would you have to offer Madeline for her daughter, Candace?
Madeline, how old is your daughter?
It's probably going to take her a second. We can see your comments. So leave your comments, Madeline. We can see your comments. Leave your comments, Karen. We can see your comments. Leave your comments, Melissa. We can see your comments. Leave your comments, Nicole, Brenda, Aaron. We can see your comments. We can see.
I would say, and when so I can answer right now before she's 25. Okay, Madeline, have you told her the truth? One thing about fatherlessness is that single parents, which my mom was a single parent, she worked 3 jobs. She withheld the truth for a certain amount of time until it was time for it to be told. One thing, at the age of 25, you're still trying to figure out who you are and what, where you come from and what that actually means. And so at the age of 25, she's going through some things and really needs to go through that healing journey. And maybe it's just now showing for her. Maybe it isn't. But I would say definitely she needs to go through those phases that I explained about for Invisible Dad, but also for you to sit down, if you haven't already, and tell her the absolute truth. Because she needs to know exactly what happened during that time. One thing that I encourage fatherless women is to get as much of the truth as you can. Not saying that it will be crystal clear and that it will be all right. What I am saying, though, is that if you get enough of the truth as much as you can, that it may ease a little bit of the pain. Yeah. Let me give you an example. I didn't know about my father and what happened with him, but when I got the truth of his mother passing away and them losing the family business, it didn't make it okay. It eased the pain to understand what was going on at that time.
Right.
So I want to make sure that she knows the exact truth of what happened during that phase and what he was going through also. Also, making sure that she is walking hand in hand with her healing, which is going to be important before she enters in with a relationship with her father, whether she knows him or whether she doesn't. I'm not sure, Madeline. You can tell me whether she actually knows him. But making sure she's dedicated to herself and having time with herself to heal. At some point, we always have to, bring other people in, whether it's a boyfriend or, have these friends and things. No, we need to be like, no, stop all the madness with ourselves and let's walk in our own healing and heal and heal ourselves before we identify and bring other people in.
Karen said, I identify with Madeline and my daughter is 29 years old. But this is one of the one of the questions that I want to ask you because it just popped in my head. What about the women who never had the opportunity? All the only story that they have is their mother's story, but they never get the opportunity to get the story from their father. How does she go through dealing with the healing that she's experiencing or that needs to take place because she doesn't know his side?
So that's a very, very great question. And this is what I tell women. If you can get the story, great. If you cannot, you need to be okay with not getting it.
Hmm.
And what that means is that story has nothing to do personally with your healing. Your healing is from this day forward, not from this day back. So it's very, very important that from this day forward that you step into your healing, meaning that if you get a portion of the story, if you get enough of the story, if you never get a portion of the story, you are okay with that. Okay, what's the next step? How do I heal? Make those steps and step into those phases to keep pushing.
Right, right. Yeah, that just made me.
One thing that's huge is that you don't want fatherlessness to become a crutch, in which oftentimes it is. It's become a crutch of what you can't do and that you keep looking backwards. And because of my past, this is how I treat others. Or because of my past, this are the relationships that I'm in. We're
Right,
always looking backwards in order to look forwards, which doesn't make sense.
right,
We got to cut it off and say, from this day forward, I'm not looking back anymore. I'm changing what's forward, and everything that's going forward is going to be different, including if I have to cut relationships off, it's going to be different. You know, if I need to take a hiatus from anything for a year or two, it's going to be different from me. Whatever you have to do to commit to yourself, that's the whole commitment piece. You got to commit to yourself. How am I going to change my life so that my life is better? What is the commitment that I am willing to make for myself? And it's very, very important. We always talk about the new, the new year, the new me, new you, new year, right? Okay, then how are you going to make yourself new? From a healing standpoint, for the wounds that people, how are you going to make yourself new?
right. So, wow, oh man, oh gosh, this is really good. So, okay, so with everything that we discussed, with the fatherlessness and the healing and everything, how can we incorporate us really caring for ourselves? Now, I'm going to throw in the self-care thing, and because it's something that needs to be discussed. How can we further care for ourselves through the healing process? You mentioned journaling. You mentioned a few different things. You mentioned God. You mentioned some other things, but how can we incorporate other parts of caring for ourselves when we're going through the journey?
So I think caring for yourself is a range of different things.
Mm-hmm.
It's first being committed to yourself, not allowing other things in.
Right.
That's the drawing the line piece.
Mm-hmm.
That is heightening your standards piece, the boundaries piece. Boundaries are super important. A lot of fatherless children they think they have boundaries, but when they're boundaries, they don't have any boundaries.
Right.
So boundaries and sticking to your boundaries are very, very, very crucial when it comes to healing and having that self-care. What you will take, what you will not take, how you will respond. Because here's the thing, if you are thinking about how you will respond when the question is asked to you, then it's too late. You need to know what your boundaries are before you're even tested.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's critical. That's a crucial point. And then also making sure that you stop to journal, stop to pray, and then making sure that you having time to make conscious every single day. These decisions can make or break your healing. How you respond is important. And so you must always walk in wisdom, walk in discernment, and walk in your healing. Those three principles are very, very important.
Mm-hmm. Say it again. Say it again so they can hear you again. Please share that again.
Yeah, so you must walk in wisdom, walk in discernment, and also just walk every day in your healing. Those 3 steps, you have got to do it in order for you to take your life back.
Candace. Thank you so much, Candace. Let's see if anyone has any more questions, please put your Madeline says thank you. Madeline says thank you. Madeline says he made it his point to disappoint all 4 of his kids, but she took it the worst because she had a different image of him. So it broke her to find out who he really was. Oh, she's talking about her daughter. Okay. Yeah. Disappointing.
So she probably held him in a highlight, you know, and when you get disappointed, it brings you back down very low. So that sounds like what she's talking about. I think Madeline, the whole, what you can do as a mother is number 1, never talk bad about their father. That's significant. As a mother, the children already know their father is not there.
Right.
So for you to add to it as more poison, it doesn't help the situation any. I think then that in mind is important. But also, as a mother, just talking to her about being human and not and just making sure that as children they understand and she's grown, but as children I understand they have choices. You know, parents have choices too, and although we want them to be, you know, our knight in shining armor, they may not be.
Right.
And they may fail at their choices, but everybody has choices, and we may fail at our choices too as women. And so just really saying that, you know, I know you had high hopes and what you thought was going to be so grand, and it disappointed you. However, everybody has choices, and it doesn't mean that her father doesn't love her. It just means that at this time, this is what he can do for her. That's another huge principle. Can only give you this much, and you are expecting this much pointed every single time.
Right.
So it is our responsibility as fatherless children that we only expect out of them what they can provide for us.
Right.
Meaning that if we're up here, we're out of order. But if we're expecting what they can provide for us here, then accept what they can provide. And that's it.
Yeah.
Our expectations may be too high, because if you think about it, fatherlessness is a generational curse. It's generational. So typically, yes, it's a generational curse. Definitely a generational curse. So typically, if a man is not in their child's life, it's because their father was either not there, or they were inside the household and emotionally not there. Yeah. So they were fatherless either way. Yeah. So it runs and it keeps this cycle going. That's why it's so important for us to tackle and really come after the women, because the women are having the children, can teach their children not to be fatherless and not have wives that are so independent, or women that are so independent that they emasculate men, or that they don't, you know, they get walked all over in relationships. Women are important because you are having the babies and you can change the cycle. And that's why women are number 1 in my book when it comes to fatherlessness.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I wish there were more men on here, and hopefully the men will tune in for the replay. But I really did put it out there for the men so they can be here and chime in on this topic, because again, I gotta have you back. I have to have you back. I just love talking about this, and it's like the blueprint to our soul and to a peace of mind. It really is, and it's so important. And again, the awareness needs to be at an even higher level than, you know, what we're talking about right now, right here, right now. And I want to thank you so much for sharing, you know, your words of wisdom, sharing your experience, sharing your book, sharing who, you know, the core of who it is that you are, sharing your journey, and sharing who it is that you work with. And I want to commend you and congratulate you and celebrate you for doing what you're doing with women all over the world and teens, if you're working with teens and everyone else. Karen says, yes, breaking the cycle is so important. Yes, it is, Karen. So is there anything else
Yes,
you
it
want to
is.
share
Thank
with
you.
us before I close out? Because it's 7:59 and I don't want to hold you up. And is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate the opportunity so much. And I'm just excited because I know it's gonna change, and I know change is on the horizon. So if anybody wants to reach out to me, feel free to inbox me or use the contact. I'm looking forward to hearing success stories because I know they are coming. I know people are working on themselves, and I'm just excited for change because I know once you get through this as a fatherless child, you will come out ablazing on the other side. I just know that. So I'm excited. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yes, and you have a Facebook group. Your Facebook group is From Fatherless to Fearless. Um,
Yeah, join the Facebook group From Fatherless to Fearless. We are talking about various different things, and you can add in what you think about fatherlessness, what you're going through that day. There's members in there that can help you, and I'll be there right along with them, commenting to your questions or what you're going through because it's nothing like a support group. Like Alicia was saying, there's nothing like a support group of various different typically it's women in my group, but it's a support group and everybody is going through a similar thing of fatherlessness, but we all have different stories, so we can support each other through that.
yes, yes. Okay, Candace, I have to close out now. I thank you again so much for joining us here today. And for those of you who are on the replay, be sure to connect with Candace in her Facebook group, From Fatherless to Fearless. Connect with her on Instagram at Candace Career. Connect with her on Facebook, Candace Career. And
Mhm.
I thank you. And you can connect with me right here on my Facebook page, like it, Coaching from the Inside Out. Leave me a message and let me know how you enjoyed the show. Let me know if you want to find someone, I mean, not find someone, but if you have an interesting topic that you would like to hear about, I can find a person that covers the topic. And I just want to share what I have going on for 2018. The new Empower and Grow Her TV show, where I have a whole bunch of women, talented, amazing, brilliant, just fire starters, rebels, all types of women that I'm interviewing on various topics, just doing it. And so I'm going from one day, which is Tuesday, to 2 days, which is Tuesday and Friday at 7 o'clock. Um, my Empower and Grow Her podcast will be up and running sometime in January. That's to be announced. I don't know what day yet, but I'll be sharing tips, tools, and strategies for success, stress, and self care. And I'm writing a book. I'm writing a book. My book isn't finished. It should be out fall of 2018.
Yay!
Yay! It's called Call on Courage. And I have a couple of other things going on. I'm updating my website, but you can go there now, www.alisajgreen.com. I'm here for you. I thank you. I hope you feel empowered, and I hope you've grown, and I hope you find someone that you can grow with. And that's why this is called Empower and Grow Her, because that's what we like to do. We like to empower and we like to grow her. So, Candace, thank you. I'm closing out for
Yeah.
tonight. God bless you. Good night. And I look forward to talking to you soon, Candace, because we got
Thank you.
this thing going on, in 2018 down here with the 365.
Yes.
Oh, I can't wait. I thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for your patience. I can't stop saying thank you. So I'm closing out
Thank
for
you.
tonight. Thank you. Share the show.
Bye, everybody. See ya.
Good night. Good night. Okay, I'm closing out, Kansas. I will talk to you later. Thank you again. All right.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.